Our next guest is we haven't had him on the show in a while, and it's a timely one at that. Stanley Cup final, Game 1 was last night. Hockey's on the mind, and in comes Greg Wrubell, the voice of the Cougars. Greg, welcome back. It's great to see you.
Morning, boys. Good to see you guys.
Did you watch the game? What did you think? Hockey.
Well, once I got through the 45-minute pregame,
it was long, wasn't it?
Gosh, yeah, that was a little much, but very Vegas, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, the hockey purists and the old timers are just like, what's going on? It was a little much for me, and then the game was, I'm pulling for the Capitals, so it wasn't my night.
But you did have the NBA Game 7. Two
Yeah.
Game 7s back-to-back days.
Great sports night.
It really, truly was a great sports night.
Can you imagine any NBA team, let alone the team with the best record in the NBA, missing 27 straight anything? Anything?
It's incredible.
Professionals making gazillions of dollars combined to miss 27 consecutive three-point shots. They should never miss 27 of anything in a row, ever at that level. It just boggles my mind. Now, you have the likely/potential MVP, they say, in James Harden. Okay? He's missing his right-hand man, the second best player, you could argue, Chris Paul. Without Chris Paul, Houston suddenly had no shot. I mean, once Chris Paul hurt his hamstring, I said, well, the series is over.
They just lost.
They just lost the series.
Yeah.
Kevin Love gets hurt. Okay, LeBron's right-hand man, if you will, second best player on the Cavs. Okay, and they still found a way to get it done because LeBron is LeBron, and that's why he is the MVP and should be the MVP every year.
Yes.
James Harden, the supposed MVP, loses his guy, and it's over. And he, at one point, went 0 for 22, I think. Again, what MVP misses 22 straight anything, let alone three-point shots?
And then walks off the court after.
Come
on, man.
His attitude.
So again, you're talking to a guy that says LeBron is the MVP every year until he retires. So, I'm a little bit biased that way.
Yeah.
All right, let's switch gears just a little bit. We will go back, unfortunately, to a Vegas connection. South Point in Vegas came out with their season over-under in wins for BYU. They've got it at 5.5. Do you think that's a fair number?
Sure, because that's a pretty simple one, right? Because now you're saying bowl game or no bowl game. You're saying, yes, they'll get to a bowl, or no, they won't. And I think getting to a bowl is a worthy and reasonable goal this year for this team.
Do you expect BYU to go to a bowl game this season?
I think 6 wins is a worthy and reasonable objective.
Yeah.
Yeah, you see, I'm out of the prediction business, and my speculation business is under new management. So I just call the games, all right? So, again, 6 wins is a worthy and reasonable goal, and let's just leave it at that.
Tanner Mangum is in the running for quarterback. I would say he's probably the incumbent, given how much he's started.
Didn't play spring.
Right, didn't play spring. So
I mean, he was on the field doing some things, but he wasn't a game quarterback in spring.
It was an 11-on-11, yep. Yeah. Who knows, but every indication points he has a legit shot to be the starter. What does he need to do to kind of regain favor from his tremendous freshman season to the forgettable season last year?
I don't know that it's anything other than win a competition. And it's going to be a competition. When August hits, they're going to throw out 5-6 quarterbacks, and Kalani within a couple of weeks, along with Coach Roderick and Coach Grimes, are going to figure out who gives them the best shot to win in 4 weeks. It's going to be quick. I mean, you can't mess around too long, I wouldn't think, in camp till you have your guy. And so I'm incredibly intrigued and excited about how that camp's going to break and start up with all those guys looking to win a job. And Tanner's one of those guys looking to win a job. Incumbent or not, he's got to go prove it.
Riddle me this. Last year, I didn't feel like BYU's offense looked anything like the offense we saw on the field. Now, Kalani has said maybe we needed to go live more to be able to see that. But I didn't think last year after fall camp, man, the offense is really struggling. I thought they were pretty crisp. So how are we going to know in fall camp if this team's actually going to be better than what we think?
Yeah,
we may have to wait until the games, right?
I don't know how much you can tell. I mean, who gets to see much of anything in August? And this year, I think we might even see less than usual because you have that competitive advantage. Arizona does not know what to expect in any way when that first snap hits on September 1st, and so you try to keep that advantage as tightly as you can. And so I really do think it'll be on the field in Tucson when we see really what this thing's all about.
Playing off the rematch now in the NBA Finals with the Cavs and the Warriors, our question of the day is, which game off of last year's BYU football schedule would you like a rematch of? I went with Utah State. Jerem?
UMass.
Went with UMass.
Okay,
Where would you go?
now both of those games are already rematches. So considering that half of the schedule this year,
Yes.
6 of them are rematches from last year. So a full half of the schedule is already a rematch. Since you're already getting them, I want to go somewhere you're not getting a rematch. And one's not enough. I need 3 because then 3 gives you 7 wins and you're in a bowl game. So I'm going to go with ECU and Fresno State, and the last one, ECU, Fresno State gets me a couple, right? Let's go with those. Yeah, because everything else is pretty much everything else is rematches. ECU was maybe the worst defense in college football history in BYU. Didn't move the ball until it was too late. I think had BYU come out with a different mindset, they could have won that game. It was too late. They threw the ball a ton in the second half, still wasn't enough. That was disappointing to me. That was a team you could get if you came out and tried to get them, I thought.
Yes.
And then Fresno State, because of, I think had the quarterbacks not gotten hurt in that game, you could have won that game.
And that would have been a nice win. That's a, 10-win team, I think.
Yeah, so you know, that gets you to 6 wins. And again, now you're looking at one of those provisional rider things to get into a bowl game at 6 and 7 if there aren't enough qualifying teams. So those are a couple of games that are not on this year's schedule that I would say you'd want to rematch with. Everything else pretty much is back on the schedule this year. And there are 6, so half the schedule. Yeah.
Voice of the Cougars, Greg Wrubell, is on BYU Sports Nation. We've discussed a number of basketball topics recently because of the return of Yoli Childs. What do you think of the group that they have going into next season?
Better than it would be had Yoli decided to, play elsewhere. I think he makes all the difference in the world for this team. I think with Yoli Childs, you've got the second best roster in the WCC, and can reasonably expect to finish ahead of St. Mary's, and that might mean a lot this year, considering how BYU has scheduled. If you are the second best team to Gonzaga, and of course your objective is to finish ahead of Gonzaga and win the league, that's naturally going to be Dave Rose's objective. If Gonzaga is the best team in the WCC and proves to be that by the end of the year, can you be that next best team? If you're the next best team in this league with this year's schedule, that could be enough to do good things for this team.
All right, Greg, we can't let you go without getting a cool thing about Canada. What have you brought to us today?
Well, we're going to flip it around, and it's actually a not so cool thing about Canada.
Wait, what?
Yeah,
Wow.
I know. So since the Edmonton Oilers won the last of their Stanley Cups in 1990, 26 Stanley Cups have been hoisted, and only one by a Canadian team. And that's an outrage.
That's not cool.
Yeah, one of the last 26 Stanley Cup champions hails from north of the border, and that is a not cool thing about Canada. There we go.
And it's going to be 27 after this year, unfortunately.
Unfortunately, yeah.
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 Greg, thanks for the time, man.
Always my pleasure.
Okay, Greg Wrubell, Voice of the Cougars on BYU Sports Nation.